Chapter 23, Destroyers of Worlds. Never before have the Yazata been made to look so weak. 1,500 years ago, when the Magog was last unleashed upon the world in the city of Kamula, the Seventh Choir alone was able to move in and subdue the creature with minimal casualties. As the fires rage, and the turbulent waters of the newly created Dwarka Sea continue to thrash, there are no Yazata left standing. "This is impossible," Fanuel coughs, using his sword to pull himself erect. "The Magog should be vastly weaker than the last time it was unleashed. There was far less time between its reanimation. We should have easily defeated the Magog this time." Raphael slowly comes to, bleeding from his forehead. Is this truly the same creature that the Seventh stopped once before? "I have been wondering that myself," Fanuel admits. "I am puzzled why the Magog has gained this much strength to be so formidable." The Magog senses that some of the Yazata have survived, and begins gathering negative energy to finish them off. Red sparkles of light collect around the Magog, as it focuses lingering malice and evil from the air, adding to its own sin-fueled power. "There are too few of us conscious left to defend against that," Raphael says, concerned. Fanuel curses in frustration. "Gather everyone who is able to move and begin evacuating the wounded. We can do nothing more here. The time has come for us to leave this world to the Potestas." "We do not have the time. The Magog collects energy quickly and never seems to tire," a Yazata of the Sixth Choir named Soniel shouts in a panic. "Go!" Fanuel screams. "That is an order!" Soniel and the other conscious Yazata dart off to accomplish this task. "Damn you," Fanuel growls, glaring at the Magog. "Damn the humans that gave you power." The Magog prepares to attack, but Raphael flashes to the beast quickly, severing both arms with lightning-like slashes. The Magog is undeterred, flipping its body into a kick that sends the Yazata crashing to the ground. Raphael tries to slow his momentum with several flips of his own, but still hits the ground with enough force to sink in several inches and form an impact crater. Its arms reformed, the Magog immediately unleashes a barrage of energy blasts down at Raphael, but the Yazata evades using Shunkonido, and cuts the distance between the two of them quickly. The general of the Eighth Choir lands another sword combo, splitting the Magog into fourths. The Magog falls apart into wet chunks, still blinking in surprise. Raphael's blade glows brightly, and he unleashes a massive wave of energy that consumes the pieces of the Magog as they fall and reduces them to nothing more than a dark plume of smoke. The smoke begins to reform into the shape of the Magog, reviving the seemingly invincible creature. "Damn!" Raphael coughs, chest heaving. "I cannot keep this up. All three of our units, along with the Seventh, were unable to defeat this monster. What more can I accomplish alone?" With a deafening howl, the Magog reforms its body. Raphael and Fanuel are both horrified that the beast's strength is still not yet depleted whatsoever. They wonder why God ever designed a being so terrible and destructive. "A little help would be appreciated," Raphael coughs, looking over at Fanuel, who is still staring in shock at the reformed Magog. Right," Fanuel finally responds, snapping out of his surprise and horror. "In all of Anshar, there are 13 choirs," Raphael says loudly. "One pursued knowledge too passionately and was lost." He begins to weave intricate hand signs in the air and draw spell circles with his fingers. "Another became prideful and arrogant and was corrupted." A strobing white light begins to envelop the Yazata. 4 choirs are led by Sarim, who enforce the true law." Steam rises from his body as a great heat builds. Even the Magog's skin begins to boil and hiss. 1 choir sticks to the shadows and miss, reaping wayward souls." One choir leads the charge into each battle, with trumpets sounding and voices singing loudly. Raphael removes his Warner ring and unfolds his energy wings, releasing his full power. And we are the rock that all of the choirs rely on to keep them safe. It is us, Arche, who lead from strength, wisdom, and experience. For all of the 13 choirs, I command you to disappear! Raphael screams, releasing all of his energy in a single blast. The entire planet shakes, and the seas whip into deadly tsunamis. Mountains vanish beneath the Yazata's power. Hardening its body into a protective shell, the Magog is able to take the blast head-on. Raphael blinks several times in disbelief, his vision blurring. His body plummets to the ground, not having enough strength left to stay aloft. "Impossible," he whispers. "Not even a scratch." The Magog evolves as it fights, constantly learning new ways to improve and counter threats. Raphael has proven that not even the Arche have what it takes to break through the beast's defenses and land a critical blow. "General," Soniel asks telepathically. "Have you done what was ordered?" Fanuel asks. "Even our slain have been taken to refuge. You no longer need to put your lives at risk. Depart from that world and leave it for the Magog and the Potestas." "Come," Fanuel says. "It's time we leave." Raphael attempts to laugh, but the pain is too much. "You go on. I do not have the strength." The Magog hovers over the two remaining Arche, grinning. It lowers a hand, focusing more negative energy into a spiraling red orb. "Himana Astra!" Fanuel shouts, hurling an ice lance through the Magog's chest. The magical conjury expands into ice flowers, crystallizing the Magog's entire form. Fanuel drops to Raphael's side and slings an arm around his comrade, before the two of them vanish with Shunkonido. The Magog quickly thaws, angrily releasing energy in all directions. Massive explosions erupt all around, pockmarking the horizon. The beast searches the area, desperately attempting to track the escaped prey. With a loud roar of frustration, the Magog realizes that they are now gone. Using the techniques shown to him during his years of training, Enkidu is able to progress even further in strength against the golems. With the destruction of each stone conjury, the man gains valuable experience and pushes his ability of Brahmastra to expand. Hoyles conjures 6 stone golems, each fueled by the sins of a tortured soul from the realm of Gehenna. Dodging the attacks of the golems, Enkidu's body becomes like a blur, and seemingly moves on its own without any conscious thought. Concentrating his energy when attacking, the man is able to land amplified Brahmastra strikes and eliminate each golem with a single blow. "Well done. Your reflexes and speed are now on par with even the most skilled Seraphim warriors," Doyle says, complimenting his student as he destroys the final conjury. "And yet, not even Seraphim generals could stop the Magog," Enkidu replies, frustrated. "No matter how much I improve, I will not be able to do any better than the Yazata who have all failed. As Yazata, we have only one source of energy to draw upon. If you have grown this strong drawing only on a portion of your ancestral energy, you have the potential to surpass all of the Arche. I do not know how to draw that power out," Enkidu admits. "Whatever power I am supposed to have, it remains locked away and inaccessible. You will never be able to confront the Magog again unless you are able to maximize both your human and Yazatan energies." Enkidu curses, feeling that he has come so far and made such progress, only to remain stuck behind a wall. "I want you to work on drawing out your Yazatan energy while still maintaining the Brahmastra technique," The purification abilities of the Yazata will further amplify your attack. Even though the task seems impossible, Enkidu does as he is instructed. The promise of potentially gaining the strength to defeat the Magog is enough to give him hope once more. He will give this his all, so that there will be no regrets when he and the Magog face off one last time. Foils increases the challenge, summoning a dozen golems at once. Anshar Realm, World of Obadiah, the mansion of the Fourth Choir. Phanuel and Raphael materialize onto a field of suffering. The dead and dying litter the landscape. Moans of anguish fill the air, and the few Yazata healthy enough to stand work to use the little stamina they have remaining to keep their friends from death. Never have I failed so spectacularly, Raphael laments. We were too confident. I thought the Magog would be weaker. Humanity has sinned more heinously in the past 1,500 years than we ever could have imagined. They were able to fill the Magog's container with tens of thousands of years of evil in a fraction of the time, Phanuel says. How could we ever have accounted for that? They deserve whatever the Magog delivers, Soriel says, treating the wounds of another Yazata nearby. It is their sin that we are suffering for. We did all we could, Phanuel says, trying to bolster the confidence of the others. Matters must now escalate. Raphael nods. It is extreme, but I do not foresee any other solution. The Magog is just too strong to be defeated by any other means. Perhaps the Creator will see that mankind is a lost cause after their world is annihilated. General Barachiel of the Fourth Choir appears with a large portion of his forces. The Yazata of the Fourth that are not assigned as Fravashis are utilized as a healing corps. The Yazata immediately disperse among the wounded and begin to use powerful healing magics. What happened? Barachiel asks, shocked by the extent of the carnage. He has not seen such large-scale loss of Yazatan life since the wars of Falling against Sane and Sataniel. The Magog has been revived with more power than we are capable of handling, Phanuel admits. It is a miracle that any of us survived. The Seventh Choir was not so fortunate. He pauses, anger and sadness setting in. They went in first and were decimated. Barachiel supports his choir by sending hundreds of energy feelers out that attach to the Yazata's auras and share with them his greater stamina. As an arche, Barachiel can boost the effectiveness of their healing abilities many times over. The Serra must convene once more and decide our next course of action, Barachiel says, energy radiating out through the feelers. Whatever we do, it must be done soon, Raphael says, sitting up as his strength slowly returns. A Fourth Choir Yazata stands over him, performing Dukan Helez. When the Magog tires of killing humans, it will search for life elsewhere to eradicate. All of creation is at risk. Barachiel hands to his lieutenant a stone with the shield and sword crest of the Fourth Choir carved upon it. All choirs must be represented for the Sarum to reach a decision. Take this and go in my place. I am needed here. Maltiel nods, taking the seal. What is your vote, sir? The Potestas must be deployed to avoid any more casualties. The Archangel are in near unanimous agreement. After seeing the horrors caused by the Magog and their own inability to stop its rampage, there is only one option left. Barachiel is left to wonder if the other generals will see the situation in the same light. Only by fighting against the Magog can one truly know the depths of its terrible power. Anshar Realm, World of Halavan. As the last stone golem dissipates into a stream of shimmering light, Adonai approaches Enkidu, who stops to catch his breath. Releasing his Yazdan energy and reverting back to a relaxed, wholly human form, Enkidu is exhausted. Adonai hands Enkidu a skin of water. Where did you learn such an amazing technique? Enkidu takes a long drink from the skin, pouring the remainder over his face. I developed it myself through years of meditation and prayer. Can it be taught? Adonai asks, enthralled by his predecessor. I never considered showing it to anyone else. He pauses in thought. I suppose it is possible, but it would take much time and practice. You must find God's forgiveness within yourself and meld that mercy into your energy. It's very difficult to put into words. Perhaps I will show you when this is all over. Hoyles interrupts them, having been listening to the conversation closely. Please demonstrate the Brahmastra firsthand to young Adonai. I believe this exercise will benefit both of your training. I've never used the Brahmastra against another human before. I'm not sure that I could control it enough to not harm the boy. I've only ever wielded the technique with intent to kill, Enkidu argues. Your Brahmastra's damage is proportional to the sin of the target. I do not believe Adonai to be a young man of deep sin. I am confident that he can survive your attack with little to no lasting effects, Doyle says. I believe this will be good for you both. I've been training today tirelessly to increase the damage dealt by my Brahmastra. Even a single unforgiven sin should cause permanent maiming. Adonai begins to stretch out. I can handle it. If Master Hoyles has confidence in me, I want to test myself. Annoyed by the sudden detour from his training, Enkidu grinds his teeth in anger, but does as asked by his teacher. At first, he holds back against the teen, but as their sparring progresses, Enkidu finds that Adonai is much more talented than he believed. Blocking one of Enkidu's punches, Adonai lands a solid right hook to the jaw that staggers the man. I am sorry, Adonai shouts, embarrassed. I was trying to hold back. Hold back? Enkidu growls, rubbing his sore jaw. You actually dared to insult me by not coming at me with everything you have? Adonai grins. Well, it's not like you respected me enough to use your full strength either. Enkidu laughs, stretching out his soreness. Fair enough. Come at me as if I were your most hated enemy. The only way either of us is going to push each other is going to be at full power. Adonai leaps at Enkidu, their fists colliding with a bright flash of energy. Hoyle shields his eyes, backing away. The ground sinks beneath the two warriors as a column of white light rises up from them and into the sky. Separate, they are both talented, but if they could fight together, maybe they could do the impossible and actually defeat the Magog. Enkidu pivots, striking Adonai across the face. The teen flies back, but stops his momentum with a flip before rushing forward with a knee to Enkidu's chin. Enkidu blocks the knee and shoves the teen aside, throwing an elbow. Adonai dodges, throwing a right hook that Enkidu meets with his own. Energy again explodes outward, and another column of light jets up into the sky. Adonai ducks beneath Enkidu's next swing, delivering a combo of fast jabs to the midsection. Wincing, Enkidu drops an elbow down across the younger fighter's right shoulder. Adonai is brought to a knee before taking a kick to the face. While Adonai is quicker, his attacks lack the same stopping power behind them that Enkidu's possess. Do you yield? Enkidu asks as Adonai stands up. Adonai spits a mouthful of blood to the grass. Our fight is only just now becoming interesting. Enkidu rushes, leading with a right hook. Adonai blocks, striking with a palm to the chest. Enkidu twists aside in evasion and uses his momentum to throw a head-level roundhouse kick. Adonai blocks with a forearm, but is sent skidding aside forcefully. Wincing, the younger fighter's arm throbs with pain. Focusing his energy, Enkidu draws his Yazata strength out from his right arm and mixes it with the human and Yazatan energy already present in his body. A bright blue glow surrounds each of the man's fists. Brahmastra, he pants, straining to maintain his focus. The two warriors continue to clash, energy exploding from each impact. Enkidu's experience begins to give him the upper hand, pushing the young Adonai back and landing him increasing blows. Soon Adonai is lowered to a knee. The teen looks up, blood running down his face. He seems to lack the strength to defend or dodge another attack. "You are still holding back against me," Adonai says. "It insults my pride to not be viewed worthy of facing your full strength. The road to my experience has been long and full of painful trials. You have your own path to tread that will be much different from mine. To stay upon that path, I must know where I stand in relation to the greatest warrior of all our people. If the gulf between us is immeasurable, I must know if I will lose heart, or if I will find motivation to become even stronger." Enkidu nods in approval. "Come at me with your full strength, and I shall respect your honor as a warrior with my own." With a furious scream, Adonai leaps at Enkidu with a punch, glowing brightly with Yazatin hybrid energy. The more experienced warrior brings his own arm up to connect with Adonai's gut. Adonai's eyes turn wide, and he loses consciousness immediately. Doyle stands over Adonai, shaking his head as the young man awakens. "You were not ready for that." "No, but I needed to feel that strength firsthand. Now I know what I must work towards." Adonai looks up at Enkidu with newfound respect. "I also know now that you are the only one who can save our world from the Magog." "I am impressed," Enkidu says. "I never thought you would be able to hold your own against me that long. Perhaps we should fight the Magog together." Doyle shakes his head adamantly. "You need to return to your strengthening of the Brahmastra and your Yazatin energy. Adonai is not yet ready to join you in battle." Enkidu shrugs. "No matter. I had already accepted that I shall be doing this alone." "Enkidu, you will not be alone," Doyle says, hurt. "We shall all be supporting you any way that we are able." "In the end," Enkidu whispers, "only the Magog and myself will be on that battlefield." Doyle turns to Adonai. "You will train with Lianlim. Enkidu needs to focus on his own training. Worrying about your progress is only going to slow him down." Adonai deflates, feeling worthless. "Do not worry. We will make each other stronger and force him to acknowledge us," Lianlim smiles, putting a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Your teacher does not think that we will make a difference in the battle against the Magog, but we shall prove him wrong. We will fight alongside Enkidu and contribute to his victory." Anshar Realm, World of Naphtali, Mansion of the Sarim. Phanuel, Raphael, and Maltiel appear in the center of a vast stone chamber. Ominous statues of cherubim and Ophanim line the walls like protective spirits. 7 chairs like thrones circle the room, one for each of the Sarim. Maltiel explores the chamber, finding a pedestal with 13 indentations, where an arche seal fits perfectly. Placing Barachiel's stone onto the pedestal, Maltiel activates a spell circle that sends a message out through the seals of each of the other leaders of the respective choirs. "You are not Barachiel," the Jibril of the 13th choir says, materializing in a flash of light. "He has loaned his seal to me so that I may call forth this meeting of the Sarim," Maltiel says. He is nervous to be in the presence of the most powerful and influential of all the Yazata at the same time. One by one, the other Arche and Sarim assemble in the chamber. Absent is the 6th choir after the death of Remiel. The 7th choir led the assault on the Magog and were unsuccessful, the Jibril says. Lieutenant Taniel stands in representation of his choir for the still absent General Uriel. "That is correct. That beast is many times more powerful than when we last faced it. Our strongest attacks were like minor irritations to the creature. I lost over half of the army I brought before it. and was forced to issue a retreat before any more of my soldiers were killed. And yet, another attack was launched, Djibril asks, looking to Phanuel and Raphael, by the 6th, 8th, and 9th choirs. And we fared no better with greater numbers and the advantage of going in second. No strategy we mounted was enough to seriously harm that beast, Raphael says. The sins of Dwarka were unlike any we have ever faced before in mortals. Evil has always existed, but Dwarka was far beyond our worst nightmares. The presence of our faithful was almost non-existent within that city, Phanuel adds. A disciple of the Hashmalim Hoyle slew the serpent Nyarlathotep, but that was not enough to stop the depravity, Djibril asks. The damage had already been done. The priests of Nyarlathotep engaged in ritual orgies and child sacrifice. By leading an entire city into evil, the scales were tipped too far for the faithful to ever balance back out in time, Mikhail says. The human who slew Nyarlathotep is currently undergoing special training. He possesses the blood of the Nephilim, and I believe with proper guidance, we'll be able to defeat the Magog. A bold assumption, Djibril says. I am surprised at you taking such a risk with a descendant of the Nephilim of all things. The extinction of humanity would be a moral victory for the rebels who argued against God giving them so much favor. If God is proven to have been in error, the power keeping both sane and Sataniel bound will be weakened, Mikhail explains. If the two of them are able to join forces, it would be devastating. Why put your faith in a human when humans created this problem? Asked General Jophiel of the 10th Choir. God put his trust into the mortals, to be able to clean up their own messes. It should be a human who stops the Magog, Mikhail says. The risk is too great. If we delay and the human still fails, it will be too late to save the remaining creation from the Magog, Phanuel argues. We must deploy the Potestas immediately. The Potestas will wipe out what little of humanity remains. If the humans are destroyed, God's authority will begin to unravel. At all costs, the mortals must be preserved, Mikhail pleads. Lieutenant Taniel angers at this. The humans brought this destruction upon themselves. Why should we give our lives to save them from the fruits of their own sin? God cannot be wrong, Mikhail says simply. If he believes that humans will change, we must ensure that they are given the opportunity. There are too many prophecies and works written about the humans far into the future for them to become extinct at this critical time. Our number one priority should be stopping the Magog and preserving what life remains on Kishar, Raphael says. I propose that we evacuate the faithful and allow the Potestas to destroy the Magog with no further loss of useful lives. Phanuel nods in agreement. There is no reason to save those who have contributed to the Magog's strength. Only the good should be saved. All humans sin, Mikhail argues. None of them are pure enough to be spared upon this requirement. We must deploy the Potestas, Taniel interrupts. Only they are strong enough to handle this threat. The Potestas are a supernova when only a sword is needed. If we deploy the Potestas, there will be no world left for the humans to return to, Mikhail argues. The Magog will see to that anyway, Taniel shouts. At least the Potestas will ensure that the destruction is contained to a single celestial body. All plant and animal life will be extinguished. For what sin are they being punished? Mikhail asks. Did the deluge caused by the Magog not already wipe out most of them? Better to sacrifice one world than see all of them destroyed. I believe this option to be extreme. But I shall concede to the majority, Mikhail says. Do any other agree with me that we should find another way? General Soriel of the 5th Choir stands in agreement. We must act accordingly to the living books. Today will not be the end of humanity. Taniel scoffs. Only the Reapers side with you. Mikhail nods and sits down in concession. All present must place their seals in the appropriate pedestal, Jibril says. The Sarum will then take their vote after seeing how the other Arche have voted. Only in full agreement may the Potestas be deployed without direct order from the Most High. If your motion is defeated, I ask that you change your vote, Phanuel asks Mikhail. Each of the Arche place their seals within the indentation on the pedestals before them. A red glow illuminates from each pedestal as the vote is counted. Someone must speak for the sixth choir, the Jibril says, unable to proceed. All votes must be cast. Teniel disappears, returning seconds later with Kafil, eighth seat of the sixth choir. This is the highest-ranking official left alive for the sixth. He will cast the vote. The votes are cast. 9-2 in favor of deploying the Potestas. The second choir was disbanded and its members distributed throughout the other choirs, while the 12th choir has not yet been rebuilt to replace Teniel's revolt. The Sarum next cast their final decision, siding with the decision to deploy the Potestas, 4-3. All parties recast their votes to side with the majority in order to authorize the use of the destroyers. May the Creator have mercy on whatever life remains on that doomed world, Mikhail whispers. He quickly leaves for his own mansion world of Rael. General Mikhail, one of his captains named Hamradal, says in greeting, "Are things still grim in Kishar?" Mikhail nods. "We do not have much time. I need a group of you to come with me." "Will the Potestas not end the threat of the Magog on their own?" another of his captains, named Tethwal, asks. "Maybe, but they will also wipe out all sentient life on that world. I cannot allow that to happen." Created eons before the Yazata, the Potestas straddle the line between automation and sentient life. The Potestas do not eat, sleep, breathe, or reproduce. They cannot feel pain or tire. A Potestas does not think independently, only carrying out whatever directive was issued upon deployment. The Potestas exist only to destroy. There is no reservation or degree to their carnage. Where the destroyers go, life ends. 4 Potestas are summoned to the earth amidst pillars of blinding light. The destroyers tower over all they see, each leg more massive than a mountain. With one step, a Potestas can rearrange continents and crumble islands beneath the sea. From the ground, clouds block the view of the Potestas above their waists, as each is over 1,000 feet tall. Enormous fires burn within the eyes of each Potestas, as it is not a heart that drives their movement, but rather atomic reactions similar to nuclear fission. Because of this energy source, the Potestas are able to generate blasts of energy that can equal the output of a small star. Their bodies were a grotesque fusion of celestial and monstrous attributes, as if twisted by the very forces of chaos and corruption. Their wings, once resplendent and majestic, transformed into macabre appendages. Each pair of wings stretching out in a span that seemed to defy the heavens themselves, possessed feathers that had turned to jagged, razor-edged blades. These warped feathers glinted ominously, reflecting the ambient light in a sinister manner. With every movement, the wings emitted an eerie, discordant hum that filled the air with a disquieting aura. The Potesta's body, wrapped in armor that appeared to writhe and shift, exuded a malevolent energy. The armor itself seemed alive, pulsating with dark power as if fueled by the very essence of chaos. Jagged spikes and protrusions adorned its surface, adding to their unsettling appearance. Sinewy muscles coiled beneath the armor, emphasizing the creature's immense strength and agility. Their heads, a twisted blend of angelic beauty and nightmarish horror, held a face that defied conventional expectations. Their eyes, blazing orbs of intense light, seemed to penetrate the souls of those who dared to meet their gaze. The eyes flickered with an unholy fire, revealing glimpses of both divine wisdom and terrifying madness. Deep shadowy hollows formed the contours of their faces, giving them an otherworldly countenance that inspired dread in all those who beheld them. The Bethesda's mouths, lined with rows of serrated teeth, stretched into a perpetual snarl that showcased their insatiable hunger for destruction. Their mouths dripped with an iridescent venom, a sickly fluid that burned with a toxic potency. Their breath, a vile mixture of sulfur and decay, tainted the air with its presence. The limbs of the Bethesdas were sinewy and muscular, exuding an aura of formidable strength. Each limb terminated in clawed appendages capable of rending through the sturdiest of defenses. Their massive hands, each digit ending in sharp talons, were adorned with wickedly curved blades that mirrored their corrupted wings. The Bethesdas moved with an unnatural grace despite their massive size. Each step sent tremors to the ground, the earth groaning under the weight of these monstrous angelic beings. Their movements were both swift and deliberate, as if they were dancing to a dissonant symphony of chaos and destruction. The very presence of the Bethesdas emitted an oppressive darkness that stifled hope and instilled terror. They were an entity, born of twisted divinity and primordial malevolence, defying comprehension and challenging the very notions of celestial beauty and righteousness. The ancient origins of the Bethesda stretch back to a time long before the emergence of angels and even the birth of mankind. Predating these celestial beings by millions of years, the Bethesdas are enigmatic entities that existed at the very dawn of creation. These beings were born from the raw energies that forged the cosmos, remnants of the primordial chaos that existed before order and form took shape. They were imbued with a power akin to that which fuels the stars themselves, an energy that defies mortal comprehension. The celestial energy infused within their very existence granted the Bethesdas their immense size, strength, and durability. Unlike the Yazata, who possess consciousness and individuality, Bethesdas are barely sentient, their minds operating on a primitive level of instinct and impulse. They lack the intellectual capacity for higher reasoning or comprehension of complex concepts. Their existence is driven solely by an insatiable need to destroy, innate compulsion ingrained within the very fabric of their being. In their essence, the Bethesdas embody the destructive forces of the universe, unfathomable power, unyielding chaos, and relentless annihilation. They are creatures of unstoppable fury, relentless in their pursuit of destruction. When summoned, they heed no commands or directives, acting solely on their primal instincts to obliterate anything in their path. The energy that powers the Bethesdas, akin to that which fuels stars, radiates from their very core. It courses through their massive forms, surging with an incandescent brilliance that could blind mortal eyes. It is this energy that allows them to wield such devastating power and endure even the most powerful attacks. To the Yazata, the Bethesdas are a paradox, a terrifying reminder of the immense power that lies beyond the realm of their understanding, yet also a symbol of the destructive potential that can arise when celestial power is untethered and untamed. In the confrontation against the Magog, the summoning of the Bethesdas represents a desperate and risky measure, a last resort to combat an unfathomable threat. The ancient origins of these beings serve as a testament to the dark and chaotic forces that persist even in the celestial realms, and the fragile balance that must be maintained to prevent the universe from descending into eternal turmoil. The Bethesdas, despite their barely sentient nature and primal instincts, serve a distinct purpose in the vast tapestry of the universe. They are the embodiments of unbridled cosmic power, forces of destruction and chaos that exist to maintain a balance in the celestial realms. Their role lies in upholding of the natural order of the universe. Just as there is creation and growth, there must also be destruction and decay. The Bethesdas represent the destructive aspect of this cosmic equilibrium, ensuring that all things, even the most celestial beings, face the consequences of their actions and the inevitable cycle of renewal. However, unleashing the Bethesdas is the dangerous and risky endeavor. Their sheer power and lack of sentience make them unpredictable and uncontrollable forces of devastation, without the guiding hand of intellect or purpose. They can easily turn their destructive impulses against anything and anyone, including their summoners, or the very beings they were summoned to protect. Their presence alone poses a significant risk to both friend and foe. The immense energies coursing through their colossal forms can cause untold collateral damage, rendering the battlefield an unpredictable and treacherous terrain. The sheer magnitude of their destructive capabilities can inadvertently harm allies or innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. Moreover, the Potestas, driven solely by instinct and compulsion, lack the discernment to distinguish between friend and foe. In their relentless pursuit of destruction, they may target anything that draws their attention, including the very forces they were meant to aid. The potential for unintended consequences and catastrophic outcomes is a constant threat when unleashing these primordial entities. Another danger lies in the aftermath of their unleashed power. Once the Potestas have fulfilled their purpose, their rampaging energies may leave behind a wake of devastation that takes a significant effort and time to restore. The very fabric of reality can be rent asunder, disrupting the delicate balance of the celestial realms and creating lasting scars upon the cosmic tapestry. The decision to summon the Potestas is a choice that carries immense weight and responsibility. It is a desperate act, undertaken only when all other options have been exhausted. The risks are significant, and the consequences, both immediate and long-term, can be catastrophic. However, in the face of an unprecedented threat such as the Magog, the summoning of the Potestas may be seen as a necessary gamble. It is a calculated risk, taken with the hope that the destructive force unleashed can overpower and vanquish an equally destructive foe. It is a testament to the desperate measures beings will undertake to safeguard the balance of the celestial realms, even when the price may be immense. Thus the Potestas, while serving a purpose in the grand design of the universe, must be approached with caution and trepidation. Their uncontrolled power and instinctual nature make them a double-edged sword, capable of both protecting and obliterating. Their very existence serves as a reminder of the delicate balance that must be maintained, and the peril that lies in upsetting that equilibrium. Mikhail and a small group of subordinates materialize on the earth, watching as the Potestas descend from the sky ominously. "It has already begun," Conradel whispers. "They are here." The Potestas surround the Magog, each lowering a hand and forming a circle of several hundred miles. With nowhere to go, the Magog is trapped as the destroyers begin to vibrate and amass their nuclear energy. The explosion that results is unlike anything the Earth has ever before witnessed. Not even the meteors of the past that wiped out most of the planet's life are comparable in scale to the blasts of the Potestas. A hole is blown into the world, seemingly with no end. Nothing remains within the circle. Trees, dirt, mountains, water, everything has been atomized in an instant. Everything is gone, and all that remains is a hole. Anshar Realm, world of Halaven. Enkidu feels stalled, his power growing too slowly. He felt that he was becoming stronger fighting against the golems, but Hoyle stopped after reaching 20 on 1, saying that any more souls removed from hell would shift the balance too much. Thinking this concern to be trifle compared to the threat of all humanity being erased, Enkidu believes that he should continue his training until he can face a golem fueled by the power of 1,000,000 souls. Then, and only then, does he think he will stand a chance at defeating the Magog with his Brahmastra. "If we cannot progress against any more golems, what would you have me do?" Enkidu asks. "I must continue to grow my strength. You have said that we lack time, yet I feel that I've only been treading water for a while now." "I believe it would be more fruitful for you to focus on mastering drawing out the Brahmastra technique, without having to align your energy or cast the incantation. The Magog will not allow you the time to repeatedly use the technique once it learns that you need to prepare briefly before its implementation. Being able to attack with the Brahmastra as easily as if it were a punch or a kick is a necessary goal. If we cannot reach this goal, no amount of strengthening the attack or your energy will matter. The Magog will simply dodge or counter as soon as it sees you beginning the process." Enkidu nods. "The Brahmastra must come to me as easily as breathing. The time it takes for me to think will even be too long. I must find a way to use the Brahmastra on instinct alone. The Magog will still likely be infinitely faster than you. Even without the time it takes to think, it may still not be enough. We must have hope, Enkidu says. If we do not have hope, there is no point in even trying to fight. The ground shakes from a series of massive explosions. Enkidu and Hoyle's attention is immediately drawn to Lianlim and Adonai's intense training elsewhere. Adonai remains in constant motion, evading an unending barrage of light arrows from Lianlim's bow. Because she is drawing on power from the divine star Manasa and not her body, Lianlim's stamina does not deplete. She pushes Adonai to continue to dodge, not allowing the youth to fight back at all. Every time Adonai turns to retaliate, light arrows explode against his defenses and leaves his forearms numb and smoking. She might be able to provide you adequate cover in battle, Foyles observes. I did not expect her to tap into the power of Manasa so easily. Even the Seraphim struggle to draw strength from the divine star without years of training and focus. Enkidu smiles. I told you she was a valuable asset. Leaving her to die could have cost us victory. That is still yet to be seen, Doyle says. Do not become overconfident. Defeating the Magog is still going to be next to impossible. Even after all this training, your chances of victory remain minuscule. I must remain rational and plan for the worst. I may have to begin preparations for the future preservation of life. What do you mean? Enkidu asks. There are still many creatures living on your world that are not found elsewhere in the universe. I've taken numerous specimens over the millennia to create wild stock here on Halavan, but there are some that simply cannot coexist with the others already found here. I've found a few worlds already set up for the seeding of life, but have not yet begun the process. Wait, Haida speaks up. You saved us for the same reason, didn't you? She begins to anger. You didn't think Enkidu could beat the Magog. You chose to save us so that you could start humanity over on another world. Enkidu looks at his teacher accusingly. It was a factor, yes, but I have still held out some hope for the Magog's defeat. It is unlikely, but it is still a possibility, Doyle says. And if Enkidu dies, what then? Haida asks. Do you just pick 2 more humans to save? Or do you breed me with another man like some domesticated heifer? That was not my intention, I swear, Doyle says. Lianlim ceases her attacks on Adonai and looks at the young man. Do not think about it. I have no interest in being a broodmare either. I will die on my feet with Enkidu, and not live on my back with some man if it comes to that. You cannot give up on us, Enkidu says. We will defeat the Magog. We will not allow that creature to erase all life from the world. Lianlim returns to her training with Adonai, unleashing a relentless storm of light arrows that forces the youth to a knee. The teen finally shouts for Lianlim to stop as he submits. With her infinite energy and my Brahmastra, we will destroy the Magog, Enkidu says, making a fist. We stand more than just a slim chance. We will win. Go meditate, Doyle says dismissively. You need to clear your mind before we can continue. Master, why spare me only to have me conduct exercises that aid my growth little? Enkidu asks. The power that I need to combat the Magog will not come from this training. Doyle opens his eyes, pausing from his watch of the earth. Have you already mastered the Yazdan energy within you? Are you now so wise that you know the kind of training that you require? If that is so, I should just return you to your world and stop hindering you. Enkidu is surprised by Hoyle's tone. He has never heard the Yazda respond to him sarcastically before. I just do not understand the point of this. I do not feel any stronger than before. Not even the elite warriors of the 7th Choir were able to defeat the Magog. After seeing this, I was unable to conceive of any method of strengthening you to a level capable of surpassing the beast. So Haida was correct. You originally kept me here to save my life, not train me? Hoyles nods. At that time, I could not foresee anyone defeating the Magog, not even the Arche. It seems that my fears were correct. They failed? Enkidu whispers in surprise. But there were so many of them. It made no difference. The Magog defeated them as easily as all the others. The Arche have now turned to the Potestas as a solution. It is not that I have given up on you. It is that your world does not have much time left, I am afraid. The Potestas have already been deployed. They will destroy everything in their path. All of my friends, family. They are all going to be killed? Enkidu whispers in horror. How could they? The chatter I have overheard in bits and pieces is that a select few humans will be brought to the holy worlds to be spared. The rest will most likely perish with the Magog. Enkidu becomes angry. Do you really expect me to stay here and do nothing while my people die? Send me back. It would be far better to die in battle than to watch here as a coward. Adonai grows worried for his own family. Will my family be killed too? I left my village thinking that I'd be able to return to them strong enough to protect them from harm. I do not know who the Sarim will select to save, Hoyles admits. He realizes that both humans have made up their minds to return to the Earth. Preserve the future of mankind. But do not expect me to stand by and allow the Magog or the Potestas to have free reign over my world. Hoyles gasps, startled by a powerful tremor on the Earth. Oh no, he whispers, closing his eyes to check on the planet's situation. What is it? Enkidu asks, frightened. Has the Magog done something else? Not the Magog, Hoyle says, growing pale. The Potestas have already struck. What are the Potestas? Adonai asks, setting his sword down on the grass and wiping the sweat from his brow. Terrible creation made by God before he decided upon giving out souls. The Potestas know only how to destroy. That is their singular purpose. They were made so that God could wipe out any creation he decided was beyond salvaging. Within the Potestas there is no mercy or emotion. Given the task to destroy, they will complete that task at all costs. Will the Potestas be able to destroy the Magog without killing that many people? Enkidu asks. Hoyle shakes his head. It may be possible, but the Potestas will not attempt any other method. They do not think as you or I. They can only destroy. In their carrying out of duties, their focus is singular. Innocent lives are of no consequence to the Potestas. In fact, they do not even realize anything other than their target exists. A mushroom cloud of smoke and fire from the Potesta's blast rises up from the massive hole and chokes the atmosphere with total darkness. There's no relief or satisfaction for the Potestas. They merely wait for the outcome of their attack. If the blast was not successful in destroying the Magog, they will fire another. The Potestas will continue this course until their target is finally no more. One of the Yazata watching from the distance begins to convulse. His fellows try to figure out what is wrong with him, but an arm transformed into a blade pierces each one of them through the chests. I cannot control my arm, Ezreal shouts in horror as another of his comrades falls. With a final shriek of agony, the Magog's face grows from the center of the Yazata's chest. The beast of sin crawls free from the remains of Ezreal, using his genetic material to rebuild its own body. Ezreal! Another Yazata shouts, turning just as his ally explodes into light, and the Magog emerges from within. The Yazata charges at the beast, but the Magog is much quicker, with a single sidestep. In the subtle motion of its hand, the Yazata is beheaded. Several Yazata form up, trying to keep the Magog within range of the Potestas. Hold the line, Samhazel shouts. Do not allow the creature to get past you. Stake your lives on this. The Magog does not get away. The Magog rushes the Yazatan defenders, cutting through several with ease. Samhazel manages to cleave one of the Magog's arms, while another Yazatan pierces the beast through the forehead with his own blade. The Magog contorts, sliding away from the blade, and slashes the Yazata's center. Samhazel pivots, aiming for the beast's throat, but the Magog turns its head unnaturally and grins before dropping its jaw open and consuming him with an enormous blast of energy. The Potestas turn, focusing their aim upon the reformed Magog and releasing another blast. With the strength of a star powering each of them, the Potestas have a near-endless supply of strength to utilize. The Magog grins as the entire area around it is swallowed by the blast and disintegrated. Some of the Yazata nearby are able to teleport away. Others are not as fortunate. The Magog begins to reform from the smoke of the attack. To the creature, the Potestas are a challenge that it's just not yet discovered a way to overcome. The planet will not be able to sustain another blast like that, Hamradal says. If the Potestas attack again, the entire world will be destroyed. Mikhail curses. I knew this would happen. The Potestas do not have a button that we can simply press for them to power down. We have no control over the destroyers. Once deployed, they cannot be stopped until their mission is accomplished. They will not heed the commands of any beings after deployment, even those of whom they were sent by. Energy collects in orbs each the size of a large boulder within the palms of each Potestas. The ground shakes violently and the air itself begins to burst into flames. We must not allow the Potestas to destroy this world, Mikhail shouts. We must prevent them from attacking. Stop them? Tethwal asks. Are the Potestas not trying to destroy the Magog? At what cost? All life on this planet will be extinguished at this rate, Mikhail says. But you voted, Tethwal whispers. You cannot go against the will of the others. Mikhail ignores the protests of his subordinate. Binding magic has been proven to be ineffective against the Magog, so I can only assume that it will have a similar result upon the Potestas. Then what can we do? Hamradal asks. Time is running out. We will not bind the Potestas, but time itself. If we can freeze both the Potestas and the Magog simultaneously, we can gain crucial moments in developing a more effective counter-strategy, Mikhail explains. Agreeing to the plan, the remaining Yazata temporarily halt the passage of time on the Earth. This ability is difficult to maintain, and with the Yazata already weakened, the technique becomes doubly taxing. Chronoa, Toki Bashatur Astra. Mikhail strains, outlining a 7-layered spell circle with his fingers. The complex array glows brightly, suspended in the air. Upon activation, the spell stops all movement of time upon the world. Each of the Yazata present perform the spell simultaneously, increasing the strength and duration of the technique, while also rendering each of them immune to its effects. Hamradal pants heavily with exhaustion. We will not be able to hold this for long. What purpose does this delay serve us? Tethwal asks. When the spell wears off, we'll be then too weakened to defend ourselves. We're not going to play defense. We're going to destroy that bastard, Mikhail says. If we can stop the Magog without the need of the Potestas, billions of sentient lives will be spared destruction. You cannot be serious, Tethwal shouts. We have already expended every weapon in our arsenal against this beast. We have nothing left to try. We may have tried everything, but that does not mean that there are not still other powers out in the universe that have the same limitations. We must swallow our pride as Yazata and seek aid from wherever we can. The other Yazata shake with anger, grinding their teeth together in frustration. First you sacrifice hundreds of our brothers to save the monkeys of this world, and now you speak of open treason? What has happened to you, Mikhail? We were given stewardship of the mortal realm, and it is up to us to protect it at all costs. If it means going to them for help, I believe that too is written in the Creator's design. He would never have us lower ourselves in such a manner. You have lost your mind, Tethwal shouts. Witnessing the deaths of your choir has driven you to madness. Perhaps you need to take a break from duty and appoint another in your place to lead the battle. Mikhail remains firm in his conviction. I have a plan, and it will work, I just know it. You will see. The Magog will soon meet its end.